Hey Woodhaven family, and welcome back to the Journey 24/7 podcast. This is Chandler here with you again as we continue today in Genesis chapter 47. Now, if you remember yesterday, we finished up with Joseph putting together this plan to go and make sure that Pharaoh was good with his family living in Goshen. So he tells Pharaoh that his brothers are shepherds and also instructs his brothers to tell Pharaoh that they are shepherds when he summons them. And now it's important to note this is not a lie. His brothers were shepherds. They tended livestock. But it was important for them to express that and to make sure that was known because, again, like we talked about yesterday, the Egyptians looked down on shepherds. And so this would also get them into Goshen, and it would protect them from being assimilated into that Egyptian culture. So the Lord was using this for a purpose. Well, here in 47, we see this unfold. Joseph goes and tells Pharaoh that his brothers and father have arrived, that they are in Goshen, that they have come there from the land of Canaan. So Pharaoh calls the brothers in and he asks them, "What is your occupation?" And they say, "Your servants are shepherds, as our fathers were. We have come to sojourn in the land, for there is no pasture for your servants' flocks, for the famine is severe in the land of Canaan. And now please let your servants dwell in the land of Goshen." Says then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Your father and your brothers have come to you. The land of Egypt is before you. Settle your father and your brothers in the best of the land. Let them settle in the land of Goshen, and if you know any able men among them, put them in charge of my livestock." So we see again here just how much credibility Joseph has gained with Pharaoh. He's saying, if there's any of them able, put them in charge of my livestock. So he just shows the credibility that Joseph has. And we know that's not because of Joseph, but it's because of the Lord working through Joseph. So it says, Joseph then brought Jacob his father and stood him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. Pharaoh asked Jacob how old he is, and Jacob says that he's 130 years old. And there we see again he blesses Pharaoh, and then it says Joseph settled his father and his brothers and gave them a possession in the land of Egypt. And Joseph then also provided his father, his brothers, and all of their household with food. Now, elsewhere in Egypt, remember this famine is still going on, and it's become so great that the Egyptians no longer have the money to come and exchange it for the grain that Joseph and Pharaoh had stored up. And so they come and they're willing to sell their livestock. So they sell their livestock in exchange for the grain to be able to eat. They do this, well, then eventually they run out of livestock. And so they come back to Joseph and say that we're out of livestock. So Joseph here tells them that they can sell all their land and give it to Pharaoh, as well as be servants. And in return, they would have food and be able to eat and survive. Now, we read this, and honestly, even myself, at first, it feels a little weird. It feels almost a little exploitive here. And I think through the lens of what we think of as servanthood and slavery, it makes sense as to why we would feel that way. But on the flip side, think about it like it was at the time. And at the time, it was more so like this was just their job to survive. Just like we work jobs day to make money, to be able to survive and have food and have the different things we need. In this case, this was their version of that, essentially. And we see that they didn't think of this as just some awful way of living. They didn't see this as somebody exploiting their needs. Because we see them, it says, Joseph said to the people, "Behold, I have this day bought you and all your land for Pharaoh. Now here is seed for you, and you shall sow the land. And at the harvest you shall give a fifth to Pharaoh, and 4/5 shall be your own." Essentially almost like a tax here. They give a fifth to Pharaoh, but they keep 4/5. "As seed for the field, and as food for yourselves and your household, and as food for your little ones." And they said, "You have saved our lives. May it please my Lord, we will be servants to Pharaoh." So see, they didn't view this as a being exploited, or they didn't view this through a negative lens. They viewed this as somebody coming alongside and helping them and saving their lives. So I know when we think of servanthood or even slavery, it brings awful images to our mind, and it should, because what we have seen in modern history and our understanding of slavery is terrible and extremely unbiblical. What we see here is a completely different example. So we have to try to wipe what we think of slavery out of our minds and view it in the way the people here viewed it. And that was that they were being provided for and they were working in return. that they were serving in return. And it truly was saving them and their families' lives. So that is what's going on with the Egyptians. But at the meantime, we see in verse 27 that Israel settled in the land of Egypt and the land of Goshen, and they gained possessions in it and were fruitful and multiplied greatly. So we see the juxtaposition here of the Egyptians are really struggling. They're still in this time of famine. They're having to now be servants to survive. They're having to work hard. They had to sacrifice. And on the flip side, the people of Israel were settled in Goshen. They were gaining possessions. They were fruitful and multiplying greatly. We're just seeing how they are abounding here. And at this point, it says that Jacob was 147 years. And it tells us that he's reaching the end of his life. So remember, he was 130 when he went and saw Pharaoh, and they came and settled in Goshen for a while. Well, he's now 147, so 17 years later. And in 29, it says, when the time drew near that Israel must die, he called his son Joseph and said to him, if now I have found favor in your sight, put your hand under my thigh and promise to deal kindly and truly with me. Do not bury me in Egypt, but let me lie with my fathers. Carry me out of Egypt and bury me in their burying place. So he comes to Joseph and he says, look, do right by me, do kind by me. Don't bury me here in Egypt. I want to go back home to the land of Canaan to be buried with my fathers. Now, remember, this is not saying that he's truly going home physically right now to Canaan and leaving Egypt. No, it's just saying that when he passes, that he's asking Joseph to promise to him that he will go and bury him back there in Canaan. And it says that Joseph answered and said, I will do as you have said. And he said, swear to me. And he swore to him. Then Israel bowed upon himself upon the head of his bed. So Joseph makes this promise with Jacob and says, when you die, I will take you back and bury you in the land of Canaan. And we're going to see that unfold in the coming days as we finish up Genesis. But that's going to wrap up our study today. We'll get back in it tomorrow on Wednesday as we jump into Genesis chapter 48. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.